Good afternoon, everybody. This is Nathalie Ellis with Esteem Counseling and Consulting Services, and today's Wednesday, Ask the Therapist. And this morning I woke up to sad news, as many of you probably have heard. Toni Morrison passed away a few days ago, and I'm not on social media all that much all the time, so I don't get news on the same day. I think she died on August 5th or 6th. And Toni Morrison, as you all know, she's this great novelist and writer who's wrote lots of great books like Beloved, The Bluest Eyes. And the interesting thing about her books, she talks a lot about the Black or the African American experience in regards to the trauma that a lot of African Americans go through. And particularly, she talks about it from an African American women experience. And so a lot of her books from women's perspective and what all the women may have gone through. And there's lots of trauma in a lot of her books. Beloved, for example, is throughout the whole book. There's just lots of examples of experiences that are traumatic for the different characters in the book. And in the book, she really does a good job of showing these experiences and how people are dealing with those experiences in a lot of different ways. And for me, as a mental health therapist, that's the key in helping individuals, is really recognizing the things that we're going through, right? And we cannot obviously control all the things that life brings us, because life brings us all kinds of things and experiences, but it's what we do with all these things. And many times, obviously, what we do with a lot of this is determined by our upbringing, our support system, our skill set, our resiliency, and all of that. And so she had a quote that kind of resonated with me that I wanted to share, and it's pretty much what I wanted to kind of talk about, is just ways to kind of deal with our shit, for example. The quote is, "You want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. You want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down." And obviously, again, with all of our experiences that we go through, lots of great things, lots of great experiences, and sometimes we have experiences that are very, very shitty, and that brings up a lot of shit. And many times, what do? Again, like I tell clients, we go through things, we experience things, and we just kind of stuff it all in, right? So imagine this is our body, and we're just stuffing everything into it, right? All of those experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. But the shitty experiences, we're stuffing it all into, and guess what? Guess what happens? We get loaded. Yeah, we're left with a pile of stuff, pile of shit, right? And that gets heavy, right? And many times, again, when we're experiencing a lot of these things, because oftentimes they're very painful, we just want to bury it and just kind of keep it all buried somewhere and not have to think about it. But again, as we know, they don't go away. It gets heavier and heavier and heavier, because as long as we're experiencing life, there's always going to be things that we're feeling and experiencing and going through. And this box just gets heavier and bigger. And so with clients, it's all about getting rid of the shit, giving up all that stuff, right? And in order to do that, we kind of have to look at it, and we have to figure out how to give it all up, right? And so, what are some things we can do to give it all up? To give up the shit that we're carrying that's holding us down? Because we want to fly, we want to soar, we want to be able to do the things we want to do and move forward and push on, okay? It's acknowledging first. Again, it's hard to do anything when we don't first acknowledge that there is an issue or that there's something going on. Acknowledging the fact that we are weighed down, right? Acknowledging the fact that we're carrying a lot of stuff that's not necessarily good for us, that's not healthy. So the first part is acknowledging, right? Then identifying. So identifying what all this shit is that's causing us to be weighed down. Right? We have to down what all that stuff is. And for people, oftentimes when they come to my office, different things that they've gone through, and a lot of people have gone through a lot of things, and we're taking things a piece at a time, and we got to process with everything that we're taking. And we take this first thing. Tell people we got to kind of look at it, we got to process it, we got to work through it, because each thing has its own set of meanings, its own set of trauma, its own set of emotional attachment, its own set of stuff that needs to be worked through, its own set of cognitive distortions, thinking patterns, its own set of everything, right? And then we got some more to go. So it's going through each thing at a time. And as we go through each thing at a time, we're hopefully lightening up this load. We're getting rid of this stuff and giving up some of this stuff, right? Along with that, we're also developing tools so that this box doesn't get heavy again, right? Because as we're still living, we're still experiencing things, and we don't want this box to get full again, right? So as we're trying to empty out the box, it's learning how to, as things are going on, how do we not let it get filled up, not let it sit with us for so long. And part of it is about addressing. So the acknowledgement and identifying is learning how to do that head on versus on the back end. But oftentimes when people are coming in therapy, it's because they're fed up, and so now they have to go through all of it. But the key is learning how to do these things head on, which is why I enjoy working with kids and adults, because they start with kids and adolescents, because they start to learn some of those processes early on, how to work through, how to problem solve, how to develop coping mechanisms and management skills, self-soothing skills, how to develop some of these tools so that they don't have to continue to carry things on long term, right? So acknowledge what's weighing you down, identifying the actual things, the shit that is causing you to be weighed down, okay? And seeking counsel, and counsel could be in so many different ways. So if when people come to me, obviously they're seeking professional help, professional counseling, therapy. And therapy could look in so many ways, whether it's individual therapy, family therapy, and group therapy. That could be done in so many different ways. And in the therapy, we're now trying to, again, acknowledge and identify what all this stuff is that's going on, and creating a plan to work through these things. Okay? And so professional mental health services, it's really important to do, right? Because in order to fly, in order to give up some of the shit that we have going on, we're going to need some help sometimes, because there's so much. Some people are coming in with a really, 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 really heavy load, and they need help to decipher and to sort all of it out, because it's a lot to sort out, and it's okay, right? And seeking the help and support in order to get the help and be your best self. So seek counseling professionally if needed. And once you're in counseling, it's important to do the work, because it's not easy work at all. Because now everything we've kind of put that's been in the back burner, that's been suppressed, avoided, dismissed, silenced for so long, that's all back there. Therapy is about bringing it all to the surface. As we're bringing, so it's not easy work. And it takes work. It takes work to do. It takes diligence. It takes consistency. It takes patience. It takes self-compassion. It takes a lot of work to be able to go through that. And like I've tell people many, many times, therapy is about being strong and being vulnerable all at the same time, because it's a lot of work that it takes to be able to do all that. But in doing all that, that's when the healing happens, and the healing is definitely a great feeling. It's definitely a great feeling. So, just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Again, that quote from Toni Morrison resonated with me. You want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. You want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. So, my challenge to everyone out there who's listening is start doing the work to give up the shit that's weighing you down so that you can fly and be your best self. Okay? Again, this is Nathalie Ellis. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have a private practice in the Decatur, Georgia area where I see clients from young children, 3 years old, to adults, seniors, and again, our work is about that. Is about really working through the stuff that's holding people down and trying to sort through all that stuff so that they can feel a little bit freer and freer and freer, so that they're not weighed down by all of their burdens. And so that's the kind of work that I do. Okay, so definitely, if you need to reach out, please DM me or go to my website, esteemcounselingservices.com. Okay, thank you so much, and talk to you next time.